And welcome in to the Gary H. Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Online at cavetalkradio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app for Apple and Android, Apple CarPlay, Android Go, and of course, Amazon Alexa. And new today, for the first time, check us out, Facebook Live. Of course, the Facebook page is Cave Talk Radio NY. We are streaming live there right now. Good to have you aboard. Gary Aid, Rich Anselmo, and lot to get to today. But mostly it's a post-mortem. Mostly it's a sad day at the office. Mostly it's an absolute letdown. Look, I'm going to do my very best to not be overly dramatic today. I'm going to do my very best to not make this a complete devastating loss. But it's very hard because the Mets needed to win 1 out of 3 games to almost assure a division championship. And they couldn't have asked for a better setup other than, I guess, they could have been at home. They had DeGrom, Scherzer, and Bassett back to back to back. And you know what happened? Bam!
Scherzer
and bam!
Bassett back to back to back. And you know what happened?
Yeah, so I just getting some echo there. I don't know what that was about. But back to back to back, and boom. Just like that. 3 games lost. Just absolutely terrible. And I gotta be honest, I can't help but feel same old Mets here. And the one thing you want to keep in mind, or at least I'm trying to put a positive spin on things here, is that, hey, at least they're going to be in the playoffs. And they will have home field in the first round, and they probably will beat San Diego. But the Braves, I mean, they put it to them. There's nothing else you can say. They absolutely put it to them. And if you're a fan of the Mets, like I am, today's a tough day. It's a long, you waited for this for a long time. This is probably the most important series of any kind the Mets have played since 2015. And it was a colossal letdown. I mean, I was hoping for 1. I was expecting 1. I guess I was hoping for 2. And you got nothing. You got absolutely swept. Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, Olsen, they just beat you up. And they beat your 3 best guys. And I think that's the part that, for the team, is going to be the toughest to overcome. Because, look, they beat your 3 best guys in, competitive games, all 3 of them, and they just beat them. And Bassett looked horrible. It looked like he never pitched before. I mean, he had balls going like left, right, center, up, down, all over the place. It was absolutely crazy. And I just couldn't believe it. I mean, he's usually a master at control, and he was awful. I mean, just horrendous. McCann made this one play. It was like the 4th inning, 3rd inning, I guess it was. And like he had to jump up, and McCann's like 6'5", and like he had to jump up and barely snag this thing. It was a great play. I mean, this was just, Rich. This hurt. This was rough.
Oh, I know. I was watching it. I felt it for you. I mean, it was awful. Yeah, Bassett wasn't good yesterday, but DeGrom giving up 3 jacks. He and Scherzer giving up 3 runs in 6 innings were absolutely what I did not expect.
No one saw that coming.
And I sure didn't see a sweep coming.
How could you? I mean, it was terrible. And going into next year, going into the playoffs rather, you have to wonder, like, what team are we going to see? I mean, it wasn't like they got embarrassed. The Mets were competitive in these games, but the Braves offense was just a little bit better, and the pitchers for the Mets weren't quite as good as they needed to be. And so that's not to say they got railroaded, but these are the type of games and the type of teams and the type of execution by your opponent that you're going to have to be able to beat in the playoffs. Like, you're not going to get to play a Washington. Thankfully, you're not going to have to play a Miami either. Because the Mets can't beat Miami for some reason. But these are the type of losses that show you the difference, perhaps, between a championship team and a playoff team. The Braves won a title last year, and it shows. And the Mets maybe have a long way to go. We'll see.
Not as long as you think.
I mean,
they have a ways to go. You and I discussed it before the series even started. Oh, great. They're bringing the kid up. You got to love it.
Oh, Alvarez, of course.
Yeah, but maybe Vogelbach should have been there the 3 days.
Well, he played well yesterday. He had a home run yesterday.
Yeah, he was on base twice.
Yep.
They could have used that Friday and Saturday too. I know you want to get the kid in the lineup, and I get that. But geez, don't just sit the guy who helped get you there.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, I understood bringing the kid up, although I didn't understand the timing. I would have brought Alvarez up a month ago. I would have brought him up in September. Get him some at bats. Because I mean, you drop this kid in the middle of, you talk about dropping someone in the middle of the fire. I mean, my goodness, that was the part of this that I don't know if that was some type of, they're trying to test his mettle, maybe they're a final evaluation of his nerve level. And maybe that was really more the point, more so than, production. But if that was the case, that's a real interesting tact, because of all the times to bring up a highly touted prospect at the start for his major league debut of the most important series your team has played in almost 10 years, man, that's a tall order, man. That was very curious, to say the least.
It was, and that would test a lot of veteran players.
Oh, right. Well, it tested Bassett. I mean, the control issues that Bassett displayed yesterday, I think, can only rationally be described as nerves. It's like, you ever play like a baseball video game, and in like a big spot, the controller shakes, the screen shakes, so it makes it hard to control. It like tries to simulate real life in high stress situations. I think that's a great video game feature. And that's what I felt like I was playing that video game watching this yesterday. It was terrible.
And the pitch you were talking about that Bassett threw, McCann's head went up like he was going to block a shot.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my. And that's the thing. You call this kid up, but you have two excellent defensive catchers.
Oh, yeah.
You're calling him up to be a DH.
Right. And I think McCann is on his way out. I think Alvarez will be the starting catcher at the start of next year. But I think
Nito's like probably the best defensive catcher in the game.
Right, which is why
one of.
I think Nito will remain on the roster. I think McCann will be gone. McCann, I'm sorry, he's a good defensive catcher, but this guy stinks. He's a black hole in that lineup. I mean, he absolutely stinks. Did you see that terrible? People called, they were generous. They called it a slide on television. It was like he dropped to his butt trying to get to first base out of desperation. And whoever it was tagged him like right on the nose, like literally like popped him in the nose with his glove because of the way he dove to the ground, and they called it a slide. This guy's just a sloppy offensive player.
He is, but there's a lot of catchers around the league that are there for their defense.
That's fine, but Nito's just as good, if not better, defensively.
Oh, he is better,
and he's better offensively too. We don't need this clown. I don't think.
Oh, I think there's no doubt the kid's there, but I think a lot of his bats come as a DH.
Right.
And what do you do with Vogelbach then in that case?
Yeah.
He really took to it there.
Well, I think that's why I think you need to play Alvarez more a catcher long term, because I think you want to keep both of them in the lineup. That's exactly my point. So, yeah, but it's going to be interesting either way. That's for sure.
Did anyone stand out in the series for the Mets for you?
Not in a positive way, no. I thought Francisco Lindor looked horrible.
Yeah, he did.
Every time I watch the Mets like closely in a series, all I see is this guy striking out. I look at his numbers and I'm like, man, when's he doing all that stuff? Because I don't see any of it. Every time I see him, he looks like he did last night. And yeah, so I'm still not a big Lindor fan. I think we overpaid for an underperformer. I still don't
at
much
least
care
in
for
the
him.
clutch.
Yeah, I still don't much
He's
care
performed pretty well during the year, but
yeah, but still,
you have to perform at a certain time.
Still, he
but
said
you can say that about your 3 starting pitchers.
But
too.
still, but I trust both of them, and I don't trust him. He still has set a career high for strikeouts this year by a lot.
Yeah.
He is hitting about 25 points under his career batting average, 15, 20 points under his career batting average. And in the biggest series of the year, he was a 0. So, yeah, I'm kind of still very much in the camp of the jury is out on Francisco Lindor as a Met. I still don't very much believe in him.
Okay.
I really don't. That if you ask me what stood out to me, there's your answer. That's what stood out to me is Francisco Lindor looking like, a pedestrian baseball player. I also thought that I guess one positive, Brandon Nimmo played very well this series.
I was just going to say I was impressed with him at the plate and
yeah, he was their best player, I think, most consistent player this series. He did pretty well. Jeff McNeil also performed well.
They have to re-sign Nimmo.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. So there you have it. All right. Well, coming up next, we have the question of the day. And then, of course, we'll get into Football Friday. Rich and I both, Football Monday, I should say. Rich and I both had a great week, both 12-3. We'll break it down. A lot to get to, but right now it's the radio question of the day. Back in 60 seconds here on The Cave.
Smiling fans aren't what they used to be. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
800-414-1657. 800-414-1657. That's 800-414-1657.
Paramount's promotions team was behind the unusual advertising campaign baseball fans have been talking about for the last week. If you missed it, count yourself among the lucky because it was creepy. The promotion for the new horror flick, Smile, placed the world's creepiest smilers behind home plate at several MLB games, where they sat, smiling, super creepily, for hours. Question for baseball fans. Did you like the promotion? Or do you think it took away from Aaron Judge crushing his 60th home run of the season?
I don't think I noticed it.
Like, geez, that's my answer too.
Like, what? What are we even talking about? I don't think I noticed it at all. I don't know. I think that baseball does a poor job of promotions in general, and I would like to see baseball do more promotions outside of the ballpark. So instead of promoting to the fans that are already there. Let's promote to the fans who might want to watch on television. Let's promote to the fans who might want to follow on social media. Every other sport does this much better.
Yes.
And it's time to get with the program. And the basis for that is this. Those other sports build stars, individual stars. Baseball has a monumental opportunity with Shohei Ohtani to do something that has never been done before, right? Like they have a guy who's doing things that have never been done ever, right?
Yes.
Other than Ruth in short doses, but not the way Ohtani's doing it over a sustained period of time, doing both. This is uncharted territory in the history of baseball. And they can't promote this guy. They can't make this guy like he should be a first name basis guy, the way LeBron is, the way Tom Brady is, the way maybe those guys are bad examples because they've been around forever, but maybe the way, Curry is, or maybe the way someone like JJ Watt, even. Like, why don't people know this guy more? Same with Mike Trout. I mean, there's a lot of examples, but Ohtani to me is like, let's promote this. So instead of making fake fans during the pandemic and bad faces in the game, like, let's get these number one guys out front and center, man. Let's make these guys known. And then that's where you're going to be able to draw newer audiences because star power sells. That's the bottom line. And baseball stinks at that.
I couldn't agree. I agree 1,000% with everything you said. Now, baseball's own media partners didn't help that last year when Stephen A. Smith went off against Ohtani because he didn't speak the language, which he's starting to pick up a little bit. Your media partners need to be with you, not against you.
Yeah, I mean,
and I thought that was a stupid, racially motivated comment anyway.
Yeah, his comment there, I thought, was not really an attack on Ohtani. It was more, to me, the way I perceived that was more of an attack on the reality for baseball that, hey, your best player doesn't speak the language, and it's hard to market people who don't speak the language. And that's true. I mean, like, even in the NBA, when was the last time there was a major star who didn't speak coherent English? Like, never. So, I mean, even the Greek freak, even Giannis speaks understandable English, if not, proper English. He speaks fine. So, I mean, to me, I don't think Smith was wrong about that. Now, it's not necessarily, there's no one to,
I don't know. Guerrero doesn't speak any English.
Well, that's what I mean. I understand that. And that's a problem. I mean, that was Smith's point. If you're going to market these guys as individual stars, they have to be able to speak the language. And that's not necessarily Guerrero or Ohtani's fault. I'm not blaming them, and I don't think Smith was either. But it does put baseball at a disadvantage because if you are going to market people as individuals, they have to be marketable. And part of being marketable is being able to communicate in a way that the masses at large will understand and relate to. That's just part of it. Which is why I think baseball's biggest failure is with Mike Trout. They've had a decade to make this guy work, and they're not. And I like the fact that he can walk down Madison Avenue and basically walk into any department store and not be recognized is unacceptable.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is their biggest failure.
I mean, when you talk,
this is a generational player.
Yes.
Well, and then again, media too. You'll go on and on and on about Judge and on about this or that or Pujols in a meaningless game against Pittsburgh. Trout hit his 39th yesterday. Mention it. I just did.
There you go.
I mean, it's ridiculous. If the media doesn't care, that's another fight baseball has.
Yep, that's it. It's true. I mean, I think the media is looking for something to care about. That's the whole problem. You have to give them, the media is conditioned to report on stars, to build stars, to bring stars down, to build them back up. That is the ebb and flow of the main undercurrent that fuels the general interest in sports just across the board. Like it or not, that's just what it is. Baseball needs to tap into that.
They do. Oh, they do. I'm not defending them. And you and I have talked about this off the air a lot about how how terrible they are at this.
Oh, they're horrible. They absolutely are. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and take our next break. When we come back, we'll transition to some football. The Eagles remain undefeated. The Giants, Jets, Bills, all with big wins. And of course, who didn't see this coming? So obvious. We all knew that the Seahawks and Lions were going to combine for almost 100 points naturally, because of course they would. So we'll talk about that too. It's the Gary Age Show. Back after this here on The Cave.
Gary H. Show right now. Call 845-734-CAVE, 734-2283, or download the Cave Sports Talk, The Gary H. Show on Cave Talk Radio.
All right, we're back. Gary Ade, Rich Anselmo, and we had our best week yet as far as football. Both of us 12-3 entering Monday night. Not bad, Rich, although I just got to say something. This is why you never, ever, ever pick the Lions to win anything, no matter what. Even when they're favored at home, because they scored 45 points and lost. They gave 48 to the Seahawks. Not only did the immortal, legendary future Hall of Famer Geno Smith go for 320 on 23 of 30 against them, but they also let Barry Sanders 2.0, known as Rashad Penny, who go for 151 on less than 20 carries in the same game. Like, no, this is the Seahawks. It's Geno Smith. He throws to the wrong team. What is wrong with these guys? Look,
not yesterday. He didn't.
No, because he played the fake NFL team that we call the Lions. That's not a real team. What a disaster. Like, and this is why I picked the Seahawks. Like, now, this game went nothing like anything I thought it was going to be, obviously. but I'm not going to claim clairvoyance here at all. But my one basis for this pick was just, it's the Lions. They'll screw it up somehow. I don't know how, but they'll manage. So I'm going to pick the Seahawks for no other reason than that.
I picked the Lions because in the first 3 games, they didn't look that bad. The Sea Hags did not look that good. And yes, I don't care if they score 148. They're the Sea Hags to me, and they always will be. But lesson learned.
Yes, absolutely.
Never pick the Lions for anything.
That's right. Absolutely not. Never do it. Other games locally, the Bills, what a gut check win. They got injuries left, right, and center, and they beat a really good Ravens team with a comeback victory on the road, 23-20. This was a statement win, Rich. Gritty win. It wasn't their best football. They don't have their A team out there, and they won anyway. This is a great win. Great team victory for the Bills.
It was, and it was something they needed. They
Absolutely.
really did. They couldn't get their offense going in the first half.
Right.
The Ravens couldn't get theirs going in the second half. Josh Allen did not look like the best quarterback in football yesterday. But damn it, some of his runs were incredible.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
The Ravens had 4 possessions in the second half. 2 punts, 2 interceptions. That's not how you win. And all this Lamar Jackson talk, he ran up against a pretty good, even if banged up defense. So let's slow that roll down just a little bit. There's a lot of football left. Lamar will have plenty more chances to prove it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I think the Mahomes will miss Tyreek Hill more than you can imagine. Talk has to stop.
Yeah, it looks like he's said, "No, who's this Tyreek guy?"
I mean,
could you believe this?
Marquise Valdez-Scantling out there is running around making plays.
Yes, clearly, because
and I thought he was underused in Green Bay anyway.
Now Brady had a sensational game, particularly late, 385 for 3 touchdowns. Mahomes and the Chiefs a little bit better collectively. I thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a key in this game. They had a semblance of a running game. Thanks to him, the Buccaneers did not. Kelsey, of course, big like he usually is.
Kelsey was very big.
You know what was
the Chiefs had 189 yards rushing, and the Bucs haven't given that up in about 4 or 5 years.
Well, you know what was crazy?
So I don't know where their defense went.
Well, you know what was crazy about this game, Rich, going into it? The Chiefs were 1-point underdogs going into this game. This was one of my locks of the week. I said, oh, the Chiefs are winning this thing. I mean, I thought they were the better team coming in. The fact that you got plus money to bet on what I think is the better team, and I thought it was going to be about a touchdown game. So they beat them by a little bit more than I thought. I mean, I was shocked at that, but good win for the Chiefs.
We both picked them too.
We did.
I mean, I didn't. I was more worried about Tampa's offense than I was their defense, but who knew their defense was going to fall apart like that?
Oh, I know. Another game that I saw coming, Raiders, we both had this one beating the Broncos. I thought this was a foregone conclusion. I said to bet the house on this one that they would that they would cover no problem. I even was giving advice on my Sunday show, The Final Line with Richie Mills, our in-season football gambling show. I said, tease this number up. They're going to win by more than a touchdown. Get it as high as you can, anywhere under 10 points. And sure enough, they won by 9, 32-23. That was, to me, that was the biggest lock of the week. I had no question about that. The Patriots with some guy named Zappy.
Back to the. I heard you say that yesterday. I actually got up and listened. Yes.
All right.
And it's rare that I'm usually coherent on a Sunday morning.
I'm impressed. I should feel flattered.
But and I know we both talked about it. I felt the Broncos were the worst 2-1 team in like the history of football.
Yeah, they're not very good.
They were pretenders, and it showed.
Yeah, it did.
The Raiders still haven't found themselves. But having 3/4 of that means you're good enough to beat the Broncos by a considerable margin.
Patriots with Zappy, whoever that is, narrowly lost to Green Bay. That was a surprisingly competitive game. And then the Cowboys took care of the Commies, so they're still back where they belong.
Easily, as a matter of fact.
One other game I was talking about on my show, I didn't get this one right, but it was a lot closer than I think people were expecting. I've had the Jaguars winning outright against the Eagles. The Eagles held on and won 29-21, but the Jags got out to a 14-0 lead in this one in the first quarter. Then fell asleep at the wheel for the rest of the game. Offensively, only managed one more touchdown the rest of the way. But the Jags gave the Eagles a hell of a game yesterday. That was a fun, competitive football game.
In some serious rain, too.
Oh, yeah. That's a fact.
Geez, Miles Sanders hit the ground running and didn't stop.
Yeah, he really didn't.
Evans handled the weather better than Lawrence did. I give Lawrence a lot of credit as a young leader. He took the brunt of it in his press conference. He blamed himself 1,000%. He goes, whether or not, you don't drop the ball like that, like I did. I'll give him credit for that. He realized it.
Yes.
And he admitted it. He didn't try to deflect. And that looks good on him.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a competitive team. That is a competitive team against a good Eagles team.
Dylan in the chat on Facebook, big Eagles fan, sending me all kinds of emojis. He's got fly Eagles fly. He's got bald eagle emojis.
I saw some of them.
He's a big time Eagles fan. So hey, good for him. Eagles fan in Indiana. Go figure. Why not?
Okay.
By the way, what we'd be remiss if we didn't cover the locals. Of course, the Giants and the Jets. Another one we got right. Jets beat the Steelers. We both had this one.
We didn't get that one right.
Oh, I must have contradicted myself then, because I guess I said the Steelers on our show and the Jets on my weekend show.
Oh. The more I thought about that, and as soon as Pickett went in, I'm like, all right, we're losing this.
Yeah, I don't think he's very good.
And who is Hines Ward coming up with this? Oh, I saw the Ben Roethlisberger 2.0 out there. No, you didn't.
He must have been
You saw a rookie who made 2 nice plays and threw 3 interceptions.
He must have been talking about Ben Roethlisberger from like last year.
Maybe.
I mean, that's the only thing he could be talking about. Hines Ward needs a new prescription lens if that's what he's seeing.
I think he does.
Oh my goodness, what a disaster.
He did not look good.
Giants took care of business against the Bears. We did get that one. Daniel Jones lit it up with a whole 71 yards passing. They won anyway. You imagine?
Oh, that's a huge offensive day. 71 yards passing.
No joke. This time, Saquon Barkley killed it. 31 carries, 146. There's where your damage was done. Giants were consistent offensively in this game, scoring in every quarter. They scored 2 touchdowns in the first half, 2 field goals in the second half. It's ugly, not a lot of volume, but they didn't need a lot. Bears only managed 12 points.
The Bears can't get out of their own way.
Oh, they stink.
And it's terrible.
They stink.
And I don't think their quarterback's the right guy, but I feel for him because he gets no help.
No, he gets none at all. Falcons upset the Browns. That's another one I had. So there we go with that.
We both did.
Yeah, we did. We did good this week. What were we, 12-3, right? We both
12-3 each, yeah.
Yeah, we had a very good game. Very good week. Chargers beat the Texans. No surprise there. I thought it was going to be a little closer. Texans have been playing better, but good job by the Chargers. Cardinals handled the Panthers. Now, we both had the Panthers there, didn't we? Or did we have the Cardinals?
No, we both had the Cardinals.
I couldn't remember what we picked on that one. All right,
we
good.
both had the Titans over the Colts.
That didn't work. Oh, it did work.
Oh, that worked.
It did work. Yeah, the Colts stink.
The Dolts can't get out of their own way. I don't know how Kansas City gave them that game last week. I won't even give them credit for winning it.
It's a donation.
Kansas City gave it to them.
It's a donation. Absolutely. Well,
the Colts haven't been the Dolts since pre-Peyton Manning, but I'm bringing it back.
Bringing back the Doltness. All right. Well, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll break down tonight's game. And it's a good one, man. You got the Rams and my Niners. We'll break that down. And then we'll get set for hour 2, which of course will have the top 5. Our NBA season preview continues as we move to, what are we going to do, the Pacific Division now?
Next on our list is the Pacific. We'll start with the defending champs.
And that's it, isn't it?
No, we got the Southwest to go.
Oh, we still got the Southwest. Okay, so there we have it. We got our season preview. We'll have news you can use.
During the week, we may want to do 2 of these a few days because we're going to run into the regular season if we don't.
Well, the regular season doesn't start until the end of October. Like the third
about
week.
October 18th.
Right. Yeah. So
but we're not on weekends.
Right, I know, but we got 10 teams left. And we got at least 10 shows.
Hopefully.
Well, we do. I think so. Yeah. So no, we could stick to one.
All right.
We'll be just fine. We'll take this right to the finish line. So we got that. We got news you can use. A lot of good stuff to get to. Right back after this, it's the Gary Age Show here on The Cave. By the way, if you're listening on Facebook Live, expect a silent break every time we go to commercial. We'll be right back after this, the Gary Age Show here on The Cave.
Let's get back to the Gary Age Show on The Cave, Orange County's conversation station.
All righty, we're back, and Monday Night
Gary?
Football. Yes.
A couple things can I throw in before we look at this game?
All right.
A couple of props we didn't give. Aaron Rodgers threw his 500th touchdown pass yesterday. Zach Wilson, first game back, he not only gets the win, but he catches a touchdown pass. Props to both of them. And come on, NFL, you've had 1.5 million years to get this right. Patriots delay a game, everyone stops, but you let the play go like about 3 seconds after it went to 0. And, of course, the Patriots threw a touchdown pass they should have never had. Get it right, guys. You're a multi-billion-dollar industry. Please get it right. Okay.
Players miss plays, refs miss calls.
Yeah, too many.
Players do miss too many plays. I agree.
Yeah, refs miss too many calls.
No big deal. Refs are irrelevant. I don't care.
No, they're not.
Makes no difference.
They're more
to
relevant
me.
than you think.
Makes no difference to me.
They're relevant in their incompetence. Okay.
I don't think they're incompetent at all. I think they do a very good job under impossible circumstances. I think reffing is the single hardest game day job there is.
Jumping out of a plane without a parachute's an impossible circumstance.
That's true. Well, you could do it very easily.
You can, but
you not a good idea.
You can, but you'll end up like an NFL refs call. Okay, let's look at this game. I promise I'm going to stop. Rams at your Niners.
This is a tough one, man. I mean, because I like the Niners, I do, but I don't know if Shanahan's going to take the reins off and let Jimmy G play. I mean, he's not Brett Favre or he's not Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or anything, but the guy's a pretty good quarterback, and Shanahan just wants to treat him like he's Trent Dilfer or Achilles Smith or Jamarcus Russell. Like, come on, man. Give the guy a little respect. If Shanahan calls a reasonable game today, I think the Niners can win this game. But I don't have confidence in him allowing Jimmy G to really play. So unless Jimmy G goes rogue, which I guess is possible,
I don't think he will.
I don't think he will either.
He wants to.
Yeah. So with all that said, I got the Rams in this one on the road. Because I don't think the Niners will get out of their own way. I think there is a self-fulfilling prophecy, a confirmation bias psychology going on with Shanahan right now. He is hell-bent on proving that Jimmy G is not the answer.
Well, I have news for him. Neither is Trey Lance.
Yeah, he missed that news bulletin.
I don't need to see any more. And I think this is personal.
I agree.
I totally disagree with the way he's handling this.
Yes.
From a really competent coach, too.
Well, that's what's frustrating
bothers
about
me.
this. Right. That's the part that's frustrating. It would normally be like, I'd be out here parroting, like, let's fire this guy. Let's get rid of him. But the problem is he's a really good coach. But he's just taken this so personally. And like, you know what? At this point, if that's how you're going to treat it, let's just cut Jimmy G. Just be done with it. Go bring in whoever the heck you think is better than him. He probably thinks Ryan Fitzpatrick sitting on his couch is a better option. So go do that. Like, at least you'll call the right plays then. Because the problem is Shanahan's a brilliant offensive play caller. That's what makes this so glaringly obvious that it's self-sabotage, whether conscious or subconscious, because normally he's one of the best play callers in the NFL.
Yeah, he sure wasn't last week.
Oh, God, no. And that's why, again, I'm putting this one on coaching. And I think the Rams, because of the Niners' incompetence right now with the coaching, I think the Rams are going to win this game. And I think that it's frustrating because the Niners, I think, have a really good team. And I will say on our Sunday show, my co-host there, Richie, had a hell of a prop bet, a hell of a parlay. This would be intense. I think it was well over plus 1,000 to get this. But it was Jimmy G. He thinks Jimmy G is going to go rogue. And will need to for the team to win. That last part I agree with. If they're going to win, he's going to have to go rogue at least a little bit. So he's got Jimmy G going for 2 touchdowns, the Niners winning the game, and Kittle getting a touchdown in the process. And Jimmy G over 250. So it's a 4-pronged parlay.
All very possible, except the 250 one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to require him going rogue.
Extremely rogue.
Yeah.
I think Shanahan's going to push the ground game to its detriment.
Yes.
And he's done that before, but I never saw what I saw last week. And we both picked the Rams for that same reason. I'm not that impressed with the Rams.
No.
Granted, they got thrashed by the Bills in week 1, which to me was more just, it was week 1. But they haven't looked that good in the last 2 either. Even though they've won, they haven't looked great.
No, but you know what? This win against Baltimore was a nice, satisfying win, I think.
It was. They beat a good football team.
Like, I think that was a nice, satisfying win under the circumstances.
Yes, and I think they're going to beat a good football team this week. Because I think that good football team is not going to call plays good.
Yep. It's
improper English, but it worked.
Hey, you're learning your English from Shohei Ohtani, right?
True.
Or should I call Stephen A. Smith?
No, I don't want to learn English from him.
Oh, man. We're going to get in trouble on a Monday morning.
Yeah, I know. I got a migraine. I don't care.
Oh man. So yeah. So
But yeah, I'm definitely taking the Rams. And this seems to be a thing in the NFL. It's feast or famine. The Rams haven't found their running game yet either.
no, they haven't.
The Bills haven't found their running game. There is a handful of teams this week did not run the football well. And you have to find it before November hits, because even if you don't play in a cold weather city, there's a chance you may be going to one. Who had three? Tampa Bay had 3 yards rushing yesterday. that's like, we're not even gonna try.
Oh man.
Somebody got 3 yards. That's a good average. Throw the ball. Don't run again. I don't know how many carries they have, but yeah, 3 yards rushing.
Not good. Not good.
And Pittsburgh all year hasn't been able to run the football.
No, it's true, and that's a problem because they can't throw the football either. That's why they struggle to score.
Yeah, I mean, Trubisky didn't look great, but this kid ain't the answer.
No, he's not the answer.
He needs to sit and watch this, because right now he's looking like and Tomlin even said it was nothing Trubisky did, because he wasn't as bad as Pickett was, but he thought the team just needed a spark.
I agree.
And I get that. Well, Zach Wilson, I'm loving this. Making a touchdown catch. He looked good out there.
Yeah, I mean, look.
He looked efficient.
He did.
And that's what you want out of a young quarterback.
No, absolutely.
He didn't do himself in.
I agree. I totally agree. And I think the Jets, maybe more so than the Giants, are on the right path at the quarterback position. I don't know that I love Wilson yet, but I think he's a good I think he has a good potential future. I think there's a chance that he'll be really good. I'll say it that way. I think we've already seen what Daniel Jones is capable of. I think Wilson, there's still more bloom left in that flower, but before we decide it's come to full blossom. I think he's still got some room to grow. Maybe a lot of it.
Agree.
Jones, I feel we've tapped out. I think we got what we got, and it's just a matter of, is that going to be good enough? And I think the answer is no. I think ultimately the Giants are going to need a new quarterback.
And Daboll's going to want his own quarterback.
Of course. Well, he has no connection to Jones in any way.
Right. But yeah, I want to see Wilson get a couple more years after this one. You can't write him off if he has a bad game or two.
Right. Yeah.
Impatience is the worst thing with a young quarterback.
Well, they're nice and competitive right now, the Jets. I mean, they've been in most of their games. So, you got to like where they're at right now. I think you really do. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got the top 5 to lead off hour number 2 today. And, of course, we'll have news you can use, NBA previews, and more. Where to go from here in the post-mortem of the Mets. They will be playing, more than likely, the Padres in the first round. Technically could still win the division, but unlikely. So we'll see where that plays out. We'll get to that as well. Hour 2 around the corner. It's the Gary Age Show here on The Cave. Oh, yeah, baby. Hour 2 of the Gary Age Show here on The Cave. CaveTalkRadio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app, Apple CarPlay, and Google Android Go, as they say. Oh, so good stuff. It's good to have you aboard, Gary Ade and Rich Anselmo. And now it's time for the one and only Top 5.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for King Talk Radio's Top 5.
All righty, what do we got today, Rich, for the Top 5?
An interesting one. We had 2 quarterbacks come in yesterday, 2 backups, each with a modicum of success, one a little more than the other. Let's name your top 5 all-time backup quarterbacks. It takes a very special person to play that role.
You know what? My number one is Jim Sorgi, because he literally never played in his whole career. He got 12 years of NFL pay and a pension for doing nothing. That's definitely my number one. I mean, and Dylan, being from Indy, can appreciate that. If Dylan's listening, I know he loves himself some Jim Sorgi. He had the best job in America. He got a front row seat to Peyton Manning for 12 years, got paid great for it, and never had to do anything. And he walks away fresh as a daisy, never got hit in his life. Pretty amazing. I want to be Jim Sorgi when I grow up.
Okay, that's one, I guess.
Nick Foles comes to mind. Obviously, won a Super Bowl as a backup and ruined the career of Carson Wentz in the process. I don't know what's better or worse, but hey, there you have it. Gotta say, Earl Morrall won a Super Bowl with the only undefeated team in NFL history back in 72 as a backup to Bob Greasy. He's got to go in there. I guess I'm not going to count Steve Young and Aaron Rodgers, who were technically backups for a handful of years to other legends.
Yeah,
that's kind of tacky.
They were starters in waiting.
Right, yeah, so I'm not going to go there. A guy I don't know what to classify him as. What do we make of Ryan Fitzpatrick? Because he certainly had one of the most interesting and a very successful career. But, I don't know that he was ever really named a starter, nor did I ever know if he was really technically the backup. He was in a lot of those, 1 and 1B, you have 2 quarterbacks, so you have no quarterbacks situations.
He always came in to be a backup, but always ended up starting.
Right, so I don't know what to make of him.
If Dylan just said Cooper Rush.
Yeah. Let's give him it's 1 year, 4 games. He looked good.
Did it last year too.
He looks okay, but I'm not going to put him there yet. No, I'm not going with Cooper Rush. I will say a guy I think was an excellent backup for a long time was Charlie Batch. He came in for the Lions in the late 90s during the end of Barry Sanders' career. And then he also had a couple of games during the early years of Ben Roethlisberger with the Steelers, where he was a serviceable backup in key spots. He was a guy that I thought was fairly good as a backup. Another one is Tommy Maddox. Came in for a year or so in place of Roethlisberger, between Roethlisberger and Cordell Stewart. Those are 2 names that come to mind. Certainly, I think a guy like, we mentioned Earl Morrall. Jeff Hostetler of the Giants has to be on this conversation.
Yes.
He's another one that won a Super Bowl as a backup quarterback. So that's another one. There's a good number of these guys, but ultimately, I think Foles, Hostetler, Morrall, all kind of distinguished themselves. I'm going to put Fitzpatrick in here. I just wouldn't feel correct not including him in this list, even though I don't really know if he's a backup or not, but he was more of a backup than not. And then my boy Jim Sorgi, best job in the history of the world.
Well, Dylan just gave us the second best job in the history of the world. He just said that Chase Daniel has the best life ever as a backup. Dude has robbed the NFL, and I agree. Chase has gotten a couple of serious paydays for doing nothing.
Oh, I got a good one. Matt Flynn. He got 2 huge contracts for 1 good half.
Yeah.
There's a good one. Matt Flynn. That's a good one. Aaron Rodgers should take a 10% cut from that money that Flynn made as his agent. He sat out because he was so damn good, and he let Flynn kill it for 1 half, and he turned that into like $50 million at the Seahawks and never had to play. He got paid like a starter and got to live the life of a backup because they drafted Wilson the same year.
Yeah.
There we go. Matt Flynn is making the cut.
Of course, granted, they didn't expect that.
No, of course not. But it's still the
They
way it
didn't
worked out.
expect when they drafted Wilson that he was going to be.
The way that worked out was pretty epic. Doug
Oh, it
Flutie's a good
was.
one. Doug Flutie and Rob Johnson. Remember Rob Johnson?
Well,
Do you remember JP Lossman? Oh,
yeah, I remember him. He might have been better if his name was Windman. He was terrible.
Brock Osweiler, we're getting in the chats here now. $100 million with the Texans. Never played again after backing up. Remember their stupidity when they're like, oh, the Broncos during their championship year, there were people saying the Broncos were better off with Brock Osweiler and Peyton Manning. Yeah, how'd that work out? I know Peyton Manning like couldn't throw anymore, but yeah, Brock Osweiler, please.
That's why there's very few people I actually listen to.
Give me a break with that nonsense.
Osweiler was awful.
Oh, God. He was
Think
terrible.
about this, though. John Elway, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play, has been there for a while.
Yes.
Doing this. Why can't he pick a quarterback?
I have a theory about this. I think he suffers from what I call Michael Jordan syndrome. He still wants to be the best quarterback in the room, so he keeps drafting these scrubs.
I don't think so. I think he's too competitive. I never buy that. I think he's too competitive and wants to win. He just can't get it right. Jordan just doesn't know how to draft. That's a whole different story.
Let's narrow this down. So,
yeah, give me your 5.
All right. Jim Sorgi, number 1. I'm sticking with that. I meant it. Best job in the history of the world. I'm going to go with Jeff Hostetler at number 2.
I have him on my list.
I'm going to go with Nick Foles at number 3.
I have him on my list. I have him number 1.
I'm going with Earl Morrall at number 4.
I have him on my list as well.
And number 5, I'm going with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
That's my top 5. Jim Sorgi. I got Jim Sorgi. I got Jeff Hostetler. I got Nick Foles. I got Earl Morrall. And I got Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's my top 5.
My number 2 after Foles is Frank Reich.
That's a good one.
One of the best backups ever. It's a hard position to
really
play
is.
because you're not getting a majority of the work during the week. And you have no input on putting the game plan together.
Right.
Frank Reich's the exception to that because he had as much, if not more, input than Jim Kelly did in the game plan because he was always like a coach anyway. But yeah, there's some good ones. It's an interesting list.
And you also never know, to your point about that being such a hard position to play, you also have no idea when you're going to need to be ready to go. And like when you are needed, you have to be ready like instantly. There's no, you don't get a warm up. It's not like a bullpen pitcher where at least you get to warm up for a little while, kind of survey the situation. You could be sitting there on your tablet with your cap straight as an arrow. Next thing you know, boom, up, got to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the situation that we saw with Trubisky and Pickett yesterday is comparatively rare where like, okay, the coach probably gave you a heads up. Hey, we're looking to go to you in a little while. Get ready. Normally it's, so-and-so got hurt. Get in there and don't screw it up.
First stringer got hurt.
Right. It's pretty crazy. It really is.
It
is a tough position to play. I always say backup quarterback and defensive back are 2 of the most difficult positions in the NFL to play. They really are.
Unless you have one of those like Sorgi's an exception to the rule,
Yeah,
but
because he doesn't have to play because Peyton never got hurt.
He sat for years. He played a couple of games when Peyton got hurt, didn't he?
He might have been gone by then. I think by the time
Okay.
Peyton had the neck problems, I think it was JT O'Sullivan or Curtis Painter. It was like those.
Painter.
Yes.
Painter.
Why
That's
I remember that? I need a life.
Painter. That's a good one.
Oh, what a disaster. Oh, what a disaster. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Let's get to our NBA season preview. We got news you can use, and we got baseball around the corner. It's the Gary H. Show. Back after this here on The Cave.
Let's get back to the Gary Age Show on The Cave, Orange County's conversation station.
All right, we're back, and it's great to have you aboard, Gary Aid, Rich Anselmo, and let's dive into the Pacific Division. We're going to start with the defending champion Golden State Warriors. What say you about the Warriors for the upcoming season, Rich?
I look at this roster, I think they can win the West again. I really do. I think they have one more kick at the can in them. At the very least, they're going to be extremely competitive. You have your main three that have been there forever: Curry, Thompson, Green, all integral to what they do. Kevon Looney, I look at him as the young guy. He's been there 7 years. Iguodala came back for another year, although he plays very little at this stage.
Yeah.
A very good signing in the offseason, Dante DiVincenzo.
Yep, absolutely.
Give him something off the bench. They have drafted well. 2019, they had one of the last picks in the draft. They took Jordan Poole. They had 2 first-round picks in 2021. They took Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. Both have played well when they've had a chance to play. I think there's a lot there. I think they can easily be knocked out in the second round, or they can...
Well, a lot depends on how the Western Conference kind of shakes out, right? Like, there's a couple of like unknowns in this year's West. One of them in that division being the Lakers. Who knows what they're going to end up being? But then you have another team like Denver. What's their health going to look like? What's Porter going to look like? Because I mean, Denver, if
You
healthy,
can say that about the Clippers too.
yeah, the Clippers. That's what I'm saying. There's a handful of those teams in the Western Conference where, depending how things shake, the Warriors could have a comparatively easy time getting to the finals again, getting through the West, or they could have a really difficult time, depending how those teams pan out. The East is more defined this year. It's going to be a gauntlet to get through the East. It's almost a
Yes.
sure thing. Now, Boston, I think, is going to take a serious step back with this. I just can't imagine how this doesn't affect their team. It has to.
I can't either. And they're looking for people. They're not bringing him back. They're not saying it, but they've encouraged him to look for other work, which means you're not coming back.
Right. Yeah, and we
Um,
kind of expected that right from the start.
Right.
I mean, like you knew the bloodhounds of the woke community. The second they smell blood, they want to cut off your head. It's not good enough to stab you. They have to cut off your head, and they would like to feed it to the wolves so you never work again.
Right. And I'm not saying he's totally innocent in this either. It was stupid to say the least.
It was definitely stupid. But stupid and worthy of permanent banishment are two very different things. Very, very different things. So
a couple of players I didn't mention talking about the Warriors.
Yes.
He so quietly did his job last year. Andrew Wiggins is back to being one of the better defensive players in the league.
Yes.
And
he had
it's
an excellent
really
year last year.
And it's really good to see. And he turned it on when he needed to. That's the first time I saw that out of him. And I think a lot of that comes from the environment. But what do you make of James Wiseman?
I don't know what to make of him yet. I haven't seen him enough to make anything of him yet. He's been hurt. He's been not in the rotation at various times. I don't know what to make of him.
He's played a half a year in his 2-year career.
Yeah.
And he showed a little something at times, but he also showed that they're not going in with him. I think this year's going to tell a lot. There's a team option at the end of this season. Do they bring him back for his restricted year? I think a lot's going to be how he plays. If he turns out to be something decent, they've got a lot of young pieces on this team, which means I don't think they'll take a dive. I think they'll retool more than they will. I don't ever see them like saying, "Well, Curry and Thompson are done. We got to rebuild."
Yeah,
I think they have enough young pieces and enough athletes that they can sustain something. Probably not a championship team. Definitely not. Maybe not even a playoff team, but I don't think they'll do in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they're not gonna look. They just bought that new huge arena in San Francisco. There's no way they're gonna voluntarily tear anything down. They're one of the 3 most valuable teams in the NBA now. Yeah, they're committed to the long term of trying to field a representative team beyond Curry and Thompson and Dre whenever that time comes. But they're not gonna pull in Oklahoma City. They can't. They're not in the market that would allow for that.
True, very true. And I give them credit. Their big 3 were all drafted.
Yep.
This wasn't one of those free agent put them together. They filled in spots with free agents. And all these young players they have drafted shows that they know what they're doing in the boardroom too.
Oh yeah, no, they have that great dynamic duo of Steph and Clay, and they've done a great job with role players around them, whether
Putting
it's
pieces around them,
whether
yes.
it's Draymond Green as their key role player, or it's someone like Sean Livingston back in the day, or now more recently Kevon Looney. They've done an excellent job with those role players. They really have.
And I know you don't agree, but I think they're well coached because these players know their roles. And there's a lot of players on that team that aren't that easy to deal with.
Yeah, I think Kerr's an average coach. I think he's solid. I don't think he's spectacular. But I think that front office is absolutely spectacular.
I do too.
And I think that's really the key to that roster. And I think they've had a lot of good fortune along their run too. But you know, they've been very good at, as you said, kind of retooling on the fly. Although they did get to take basically 2 years off, and there seems to be no criticism of their star players for those years being uncompetitive, which, you know, if other star players suffered similar things, they wouldn't be afforded the same grace.
Yeah, but
We
there
all
was a
know
lot
that.
of injury there.
Well,
that's-
of
I mean,
course.
Thompson took 2
Right.
years off.
But if we were going to hold Curry to the same standard we hold LeBron to, we would have said, why can't
But we
Curry?
don't hold Curry to that.
We
same
don't.
standard.
That's my point.
Nor should we.
Well, people try to say he's better or as good as LeBron. Well, if
No
that's
one
true,
with any intelligence says that.
they better hold him to the same standard. You're going to say
No,
that.
they shouldn't. They shouldn't.
Yeah.
LeBron's made that standard.
Right.
Others haven't.
Right. Yeah, Giannis
That's why
is getting there.
Yes, he is.
Giannis
But
is
that's
a
why
beast.
LeBron's held to it more.
Right.
And LeBron talks more than anyone else. So sometimes he's got it coming.
Yeah,
A little.
he gives it to himself, but hey, you know what?
Yeah.
He also lives up to it too. So you know
He's
what?
earned it.
That's right.
He's definitely earned it.
That's a fact.
But yeah, I see them. They could get knocked out in an upset or go to the finals again.
Yeah, no. It's true. So, no, it's interesting.
But and as we get into this division, I mean, you're going to talk about the Clippers and the Lakers. You've got teams that have a lot of questions, and if everything falls right,
Yeah, it's true. It's gonna be an interesting division this year. And then you got the Kings. Oh yeah, and the Suns too. That's a 5-team division, isn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
the Suns are have their own questions.
You know what I think we should do? Let's have Ime Udoka go coach the Suns and Monty Williams go coach the Celtics. Just call it a swap. Monty Williams feuding with DeAndre Ayton and Jay Crowder, and you got Udoka feuding with his front office pals. Let's just do a coach trade. There you go. They're both black, so they could both say we're still inclusive, the NBA liberal stuff. Let's go for it. Hey, let's do it. Swappy.
I don't think so. I don't think Phoenix would do that.
Swappy. Let's go.
I don't think Phoenix would touch that.
I mean, there's no reason to trade Monty Williams, but I do think both of them need a change of scenery. I do. I think Monty's time there is gonna. I'm predicting another year or so. I think the pedal is falling off the rose there a little bit.
Yeah, but he's not the only one involved in the mishandling of DeAndre Ayton.
No, but he's the one that's gonna bear the blame.
Yes.
That's just how it is.
A coach always
Right,
does. That's
right.
why you'd rather be a GM. You outlast coaches.
Oh yeah, because you get to fire.
You
them.
got a good run in you. If you could blame 2 coaches, you could be there for 10 years being a GM.
Right, you get
before
to fire
people
them.
figure you out.
Right, exactly. You get to hire them and fire them.
Yes.
You know, I don't know. This is a weird off season. You could argue 2 of the 5 best teams, certainly 2 of the 10 best teams in the NBA, the Celtics and the Suns, have such crazy questions coming into the season as to you can wonder if they'll even be factors, that's the thing that's nuts. They have so much drama coming in, and the Lakers are really the only team that handle that. Like, for some reason, the Lakers are like, they're not successful unless they have that drama.
They thrive on it.
They do. It's just weird. They always have, whether it was the Showtime Lakers, the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, or the Kings of Drama, LeBron. They're the only team, for whatever reason, they thrive on it. Like you said, it derails other teams.
Over under.
Yes.
How many weeks before Patrick Beverly punches someone in practice?
Oh, it hasn't happened yet? Wow.
Hasn't happened yet. Well, they're barely practicing.
Yeah, I'm gonna say under.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's probably gonna be someone like irrelevant. Like he's gonna probably bully someone he thinks he's gonna. I'll make a prediction. It's gonna be Austin Reeves. That's the guy he's gonna punch.
Oh, I don't know. I think he and Westbrook have a dust up coming. They're overdue.
No,
they can't stand each other.
I don't think Beverly's gonna pick a fight with Westbrook. I think he's gonna pick a fight with someone.
I think it'll be the other way around.
Maybe. Hey, you know what? Westbrook has to remind people who he is this year. I'm rooting for him this year. I really am. I
think he has a better year than he did last year.
Yeah, I mean,
But if we miss Anthony Davis again,
well, that's the thing. I mean, Davis.
And I'm saying we as fans in general,
right.
Nobody wants to see the better players go down for half a year.
No, Davis needs to be
healthy.
But
if that happens again, no one's going anywhere.
Right. So I think I'm going to put the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals this year.
We got 2 nice updates from the site.
What do we got?
Follow us on Facebook. Cave Talk Radio NY is the page.
Yes.
As we are now Facebook Live today.
We are.
Shams reporting the Lakers are on the brink of a blockbuster trade. Looks like I have a phone call to make later.
Yeah, I would say so. I wonder what that blockbuster could be. I mean, I know there's been talk forever about Buddy Hield and Miles Turner from Indiana with those draft picks in play, and maybe Westbrook. I don't love that trade for the Lakers. I like it.
I don't love it for Indiana. I'm not taking the ball out of Halliburton's hands for Westbrook. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not destroying the future.
Yeah, I liked that. I like that trade better for the Knicks.
And Dylan's providing us with a lot of stuff today. A little NFL blip. Jamison Crowder, Bills slot receiver, is gone. Broken ankle in yesterday's game.
Yeah.
That's
it's that phone book again.
It is. That team is snake bit. They really are. For a team everyone thought was their year.
And they're working through it. They are.
But
I mean, they just beat a really good team.
Yeah, but there's a long way to go.
Yeah, there is. That's a fact. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and we will do news you can use and some baseball as well. It's the Gary H Show here on the Cave.
Let's get back to the Gary Age Show on the Cave, Orange County's conversation station.
All righty, we're back. And it's time. Let's do some baseball, and then we'll do the news you can use to wrap up the show in a little while.
Sounds good.
Braves magic number down to 1. Got to beat the Marlins, and that's basically it.
Didn't Milwaukee have to beat the Marlins too, and they ended up getting swept?
That is
Which
true.
means Philly's magic number is now 1. The Marlins are not going away quietly.
They went away 3 months ago, though. That's the problem. Now they
Right,
showed
but
up now.
Now they showed up, as have the Angels.
Right. I don't understand, like, right now, if you're in the National League, it's funny, no one's talking about the Dodgers. And, like, they're just quietly winning 107, 108 games, blah, blah, blah. Like, Braves are great. Mets have had a great season. Like, Phillies are cool, but, like, man, who's beating these guys? I mean, like,
That's my question.
like
With that pitching,
let's talk about this for a second. Maybe it's because no one wants to just face the reality that more than likely the National League playoffs, which we've all been kind of looking at as with all these good teams, is like something that could be a bit of a gauntlet. Maybe no one wants to admit that it could very well just as easily be a fait accompli, given how even though all these teams are good, the the Dodgers are just so much better than everybody.
well, a lot of people felt that way last year too.
That's true. That's why they play the games.
Right. And the Braves were better than everybody.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's why they play the games. But man, the Dodgers they look special. They look special.
They really do. Freddie Freeman makes a hell of a difference on a team.
Oh, he really does.
Look how long it took Atlanta to adjust to that. Weren't they like 27 and 29 at one point?
Yeah, it took them a long time.
Yeah.
Like
60 games to get
and the broadcasters yesterday during the Met and Brave game brought up an interesting graphic that I've talked about a few times. The Braves made up all that ground in the division while the Mets played 30 games over 500 during the same stretch. The Braves made up all that ground.
Right. The Mets had like the 5th best record in baseball, but the Braves had the best record in baseball.
So it had nothing to do really with the Mets didn't cede any ground, is the words the broadcast team used on ESPN last night. The Braves took it because they just played 800 while the Mets played a mortal 620 or something like that. Like, the Mets played tremendous baseball during that time.
They did.
It's crazy. So that's the rub with this team is they have a beast in their division with the Braves. But there's a bigger beast looming out there, and that's the Dodgers. I mean, they're a scary team.
People aren't talking about the Dodgers, and they have this love affair with the Braves, but it is time we acknowledge this Braves team is pretty special.
Oh, they're awesome. And they also have most of their core locked up for a significant amount of time, and they're all fairly young. So they've done you were talking about the front office of the Warriors a minute ago. Talk about the front office of this Braves organization. They've done a marvelous job building a team and now retaining that team. That's the difference between like the Braves and maybe a team like the Orioles or the Pirates, a team like that, because they'll find the guys because they draft high all the time, but then they don't keep them.
Right.
The Braves found the guys, built the team, and they're keeping them. That's the difference.
Oh, and it's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
And when they talk about some of the better managers in the league, Snitker never gets mentioned, ever.
That's true. I was watching these games with my wife this weekend, 2 of the 3, at least parts of them, and she doesn't really know baseball that well. So I'm kind of teaching her some of it, and some of the real basics, like what a starting pitcher is, like what ERA is, some of the basic parameters. And the first game we're watching, early in the game, they panned to Buck Showalter, and the Mets were up at that time. And my wife's like, "Who's that?" And she goes, "That's the manager." She's like, "Cool, he doesn't look happy." I said, "Yeah, he's a manager. They never look happy. They could be up 7 or down 8. They all look miserable." That's what they're supposed to look like.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that hates these manager interviews during the games?
Maybe. I don't hate them.
They don't offer anything. It's a waste. These guys got enough on their minds. It's like, why?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't hate them, but they're just part of the scenery to me, I guess. But yeah, it was just funny. And then like, I don't know, 2 innings later, 3 innings later, the Braves were up. They took a shot of Snitker, and I'm like, see, he's just as miserable. He's the other manager. I said, I told you, up or down, they're gonna look the same. Always gonna look mad.
True.
It's a thing with baseball managers. I've never seen one smile.
Oh, I know. I know. It's unbelievable.
Really crazy. Sorry, we got the last week of the regular season upon us right now in baseball. We got, of course, the Mets with the Nationals, the Braves with the Marlins, Yankees got their final series coming up. So that's going to
With
be
the
interesting.
Rangers.
The Rangers. Jeez, talk about a bad team. That's an irrelevant team. They might be the worst team in baseball. I mean, they're
Well,
horrible.
they won't be irrelevant if they walk Aaron Judge 4 times over the next 4
Oh,
games.
wouldn't that be great? That would be so funny.
And if I'm a manager, I'm all for it. I'm like, you ain't getting a record off of my team.
That's right.
Sorry.
Absolutely. No, that would be hilarious. Oh, the nasty gram they would get from baseball for that.
I wouldn't care.
No, absolutely.
If I'm the manager, I don't care. I run my team my way.
By the way, a little more history made this weekend by one Albert Winnie the Pujols, as Chris Berman would affectionately call him.
Yes.
He has tied Babe Ruth on the all-time RBI list.
Tied for second.
Yep, that's amazing. Hit another
People are
home run.
wanting him to come back, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go through this all over again.
If it means I get to see more Pujols hitting, I'm down for it. But
I've seen more Cardinals than I want to see for the next 10 years.
Bird lifts it in the air out to center. Going back, Reynolds at the wall. He's done it. He's done it. His final regular season home game, number 702. He's tied the game. He's tied Babe Ruth all time in runs batted in. Home run number 702, the 457th different pitcher that he's hit a home run against to extend his major league record.
That's a record.
And now he's tied with Babe Ruth, second all-time in the history of baseball in runs batted in.
Pretty amazing stuff.
See, the way everything's falling for him, though, I don't want him to come back, because what are the chances you're going to duplicate this? Although I will say, he doesn't look like a guy ready to hang it up either. He's got 17 homers since the All-Star break.
I know. I mean, he's been a major cog in their lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not just checking off milestones; he's helping them win.
And as what's the first baseman's name? Goldschmidt. As he's fallen off the radar, Pujols has picked up the slack.
Yes. Yeah, Pujols has been tremendous. What happened to Goldschmidt?
I don't know. They were talking about Triple Crown for him. I'm like, people are lapping him in this home run race.
I know. It's crazy. Really is. Well, there you have it. By the way, congratulations to Tyler Hero, a 4-year, $130 million contract extension for him.
You're ruining my news you can use. That was my lead, and now I got to redo this.
Oh, no. All right. Well, let me take a break then before I ruin any more. Back after this, the Gary H. Show on the Cave.
Join the Gary H. Show right now. Call 845-734-KAVE, 734-2283, or download the Cave Sports Talk app. The Gary H. Show on Cave Talk Radio.
Alrighty, it's time for some news you can use. What do we got today, Rich?
Well, congratulations to Tyler. Oh, no, never mind.
What a jerk.
That's what I do. White Sox manager Tony La Russa to announce his retirement today. Was this kind of suggested?
Yeah, I don't know.
I have a hard time with this being voluntary. I just really do. And I know he's in tight with
the owner.
Yes.
Yes.
So is this a way of letting him do it on his terms, or not his terms? But
well, I hope, in a way, I hope it's that, because I mean, I also don't know.
He deserves better.
Well, but the thing is, my first thought wasn't that he was being forced out, although I think there's a possibility. I think that's the better of the two likely scenarios. The other one being, we don't really know the specifics of this health problem he's having. I hope he's not like really gravely ill. That was my first thought.
I hope not too.
So, being forced out, if that's what this is, and I agree with you, it kind of smells of that. I think that's maybe the better of the two, what I would call most likely scenarios right now. The other one being is he's got a serious problem.
Right.
And he's not going to live much longer in the worst case scenario.
But regardless of what it is, I'm just very glad he hasn't been fired. He hasn't been released.
Right. He gets to go out on his own terms, at least,
better
officially.
terms. Yeah.
Right. All right.
Because he deserves that and so much more. He's been a great manager for so many years.
Oh my goodness. I would say in my lifetime, I remember the very end of Earl Weaver, like the very tail end of his career. So I don't really count him. In my lifetime, him, and I also think Bobby Cox and Bruce Bochy, those three guys stood out to me as the best managers in my lifetime. Lou Piniella was also a really good one.
Yeah, I have a longer lifetime than you, so I am throwing Earl Weaver and Gil Hodges into that mix.
Yep.
And happily so, because I like them both for a variety of different reasons.
There you go. All right, what else we got?
Positive thoughts going out today to Terry Bradshaw. He revealed a cancer diagnosis yesterday. Just wishing him all the best. And I'm tired of this disease.
Yeah, it's a bad one.
If there's a cure out there, come out with it.
Let's do it. Right.
I have my own reasons for believing why they haven't come out with it, because they're making too much money treating it.
Right, of course.
But let's end this. I've had enough.
I don't disagree.
Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf carted off the field yesterday for a bathroom break.
What?
What's your take on this?
Well, that's a real shitty thing to do, and it would really piss me off. How about that?
Well, you covered the whole thing.
He's a real puke for that one. How about that?
You did the bathroom gamut, a trifecta now.
Oh, what a mess.
I mean,
what?
Seahawks fans were concerned. They see this cart coming out. Metcalf's a hell of a player, but yeah, he needed a ride because nature called.
Unbelievable. That's really crazy.
And fortunately, people at home got it because Jen Hale, who works the sidelines for Fox, said he's not injured. He needed a bathroom break, but people in the seats didn't know that.
He couldn't walk to the bathroom?
I don't know.
Like a normal person?
He didn't appear in any discomfort. Maybe it's like, man, if I take another step, this is coming out in the field.
That'd be something.
Metcalf himself tweeted with a laughing emoji. That clinch walk wouldn't have made it.
Oh, jeez. You gotta go. You gotta go.
We turned that barrel completely over for news you can use
We
sometimes.
sure did. What a mess.
J.J. Watt played a game 4 days after an atrial fibrillation. That's guts. That really is guts. And I know he was unhappy that, and he wouldn't say who, but I think he knows who. He said the only people that knew this were people in that room. But who leaked it? Why are you leaking someone's medical condition out?
Why are we talking about leaking anything after a guy barely made it to the bathroom?
That's a classless move. It's a classless move. That information's his business. It's not like, well, he's got a broken leg and he's on IR. Well, that's different.
So we're not going to air the dirty laundry here? Okay, I promise I'm done.
Oh, you've been done, my friend.
No.
That angers me.
Yeah, no, that all kidding aside, that's really not okay.
And that's a HIPAA violation waiting to happen.
Well, that's
the
other
other
thing.
Surprised if, well, of course, I also have complete confidence that the NFL will get this swept so under the rug that 10 people are holding that rug up.
Well, that's their job to do.
And they do it well.
All right.
The Detroit Tigers are expecting Miguel Cabrera to be ready for his age 40 season. Do you think he's coming back? He hasn't indicated that he is.
I do. I think he'll finish out his contract. He's got 1 year left on it. There's probably, have to look up his career numbers. There's probably a few milestones that are probably within reach that he's probably enticed by, and he can finish out his contract. I do think he'll come back, yes. Because I also think if Pujols retires, he's the next guy to go, and I think he probably would want a similar and probably receive a similar, send-off tour, and rightfully so. Look, I don't know him to know if he wants that or not, but I don't think it would be bad of someone to desire that. He's earned it.
No, he deserves it. He completely deserves it.
He's had a comparable career. I think Pujols is a little bit better, but very, similar career.
I actually had to look this up, and I'm ashamed to say that. Jaromir Jagr is reportedly contemplating retiring from hockey.
Contemplating?
Well, first I thought he did it years ago, but he's been playing overseas for the last 6 or 7 years and doing well considering he's pushing 50. Retire, dude. Come on, enjoy some of your life. That's nuts.
It really is nuts.
You have nothing left to prove.
It's these hockey guys, man. They're all like that.
Yeah, they all have too much to prove.
I mean, like, what didn't Gordie Howe play till he was like 60 at various points?
Yeah, because he wanted to play with his sons. And he waited till both of them made it. And yeah, he was in his 50s.
There you go. All right, we got time for maybe one more. What do we got?
Okay, Ravens corner Marcus Peters flipped out over Harbaugh's decision to go for the touchdown and not kick the field goal. It was a gutsy call with just around 4 minutes left. I don't think it was the wrong call. I think that just making the field goal, and his explanation was, we make the field goal and give them the ball back. They got 4 downs,
right,
all the way up the field because they could need it. That's a lot of pressure to put on a defense with that offense.
No, he's not wrong.
No, I don't think he is either.
I mean, I understand that. I mean, this isn't your rank and file offense either. I mean, I know the Bills are banged up, but it's still Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah,
I don't want to give them an opportunity to beat me.
And the best scenario would have been, obviously them giving the ball back. to Baltimore, but the most likely would have at least been a field goal to tie.
Yes.
Where if they would have scored the touchdown, and kudos to Jordan Poyer for making a great interception.
Oh, that was tremendous.
And he is really pushing this, pushing the envelope in his play, considering he has contract negotiations coming up. Good for him. Pay the man. He's one of the few that aren't injured. Pay him. But, yeah, I mean, 7 points up meant the worst thing would have been the Bills tie the game and it's overtime. But 3 points, you could have just as easily gotten a loss.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. But hey, they got the win, and that's what matters if you're the Bills.
Yeah, and Marcus Peters is not happy with Harbaugh's decision.
Not a happy camper. All right, one more. What do we got?
Bills Von Miller says that Jackson should be the highest paid player in the NFL. Your thoughts?
Lamar Jackson should be the highest paid player in the NFL?
Yes.
What
about his own quarterback?
I mean, I I don't know what to say to that. I really don't. Oh man. So anyway, I don't know what to say to that. I other than I don't agree.
Yeah.
Besides that, Lamar Jackson's not better than Patrick Mahomes. He's not better than Josh Allen. I don't even think he's better than Justin Herbert. No.
Well, I agree, and I'm not saying Lamar Jackson's not a good ball player.
Oh no, he's an excellent ball player, and by all means, pay the man. But highest paid in the league? Who do I quote here? Oh yeah, our fearless leader. Come on, man. And that's how we'll end it today. Good stuff on news you can use. Good job recovering after I tried to sabotage your star segment.
That's okay. There was enough of it today to.
Well, there you have it. All right. Well, that does it for us. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Facebook Live for the first time, and of course, our normal channels. Up next on cavetalkradio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app is Titillating Sports with Rick Tittle. Until tomorrow at 10, this is Gary Aid for Rich Anselmo saying so long. Gary Aid Show, you're on the Cave.